Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to dive into another feature from C++20, constinit. You might have heard of it or even confused it with constexpr or const, but don't worry, we are going to break it down clearly step by step. So you'll walk away understanding exactly what constinit does, why it exists, and how to use it properly in your own C++ code. Let's start with a simple question. What problem is constinit trying to solve? To understand this, we need a quick refresher on static and global variables in C++. These variables have static storage duration, meaning they exist throughout the lifetime of the program. However, when they are initialized, can vary. In C++, static and global variables can be initialized at compile time or at runtime. When something is initialized at runtime, it's done before main starts, but the order in which this happens across translation units is undefined. This is known as the static initialization order fiasco, and it can cause subtle and dangerous bugs in your programs. Here is a quick example. This is a runtime initialization. If another file depends on global var during its own static initialization, things can go wrong, especially if getValue function returns a value depending on other global state. So how do we avoid this? That's where constinit comes in. Constinit is a keyword introduced in C++20 that requires a variable with static storage duration to be initialized at compile time. If it can't be initialized at compile time, the code will fail to compile. In other words, constinit guarantees initialization happens at compile time, preventing the risk of undefined initialization order at runtime. Here is an example. This tells the compiler, make sure safe global is initialized at compile time. If it can't be, stop the build. So what's the difference between constinit and constexpr? Let's break it down. Constexpr means the value must be known at compile time and the variable must be constant. Constinit only requires that initialization happens at compile time, but the variable can still be mutable, for example in this code. So constinit is useful when you need static variables initialized at compile time, but don't want them to be constant for the lifetime of the program. Let's look at a common use case. Singleton pattern with static local variables. This ensures that instance is initialized at compile time, avoiding runtime surprises. This is especially helpful in embedded systems or low-level applications where startup behavior must be predictable. Now, here is the important caveat. Constinit does not imply constness. You can still modify a constinit variable after initialization. Also, you cannot use constinit on variables that are not static or global. This makes sense. It's only meant for compile time initialization of variables that live for the duration of the program. Here is a quick summary of when to use what. Use const for read-only variables. Use constexpr when you want the value known at compile time and never changeable. Use constinit when you want a variable initialized at compile time but still want to be able to change it later. To wrap things up, constinit helps you write safer, more predictable C++ code by eliminating the static initialization order problem. It's not a replacement for const or constexpr. It's a tool for a very specific job, and when used correctly, it can save you from some really hard to find bugs. Thanks for watching. If this helped clarify things for you, give the video a like, subscribe and check out the playlist on the screen. See you in the next one.